I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right, enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I don't think that music is going to play the whole time, so I better start talking. Andrew Kruchek, my producer man, tells me these bumper musics are about 20 to 30 seconds long. I said, Andrew, can we make them like 2 minutes so I can just kind of... I've done some calculating, some mathematics, and I realized this. We've got 5 spots of bumper music. Now, I think, Andrew, what are those, 30 seconds? Max 30 seconds? He's not. I talked to him over the mic here. He doesn't listen. He doesn't listen to the show, so I have a hard time getting his attention. If you go 2.5 minutes, if I just let those play and then I start talking right at the very end, that's 2.5 minutes per show. Let's see, 5 shows a week, that's 12.5 minutes. Second week, 25 minutes. Third week, 37.5 minutes. In 1 month, I could get a totally free show from my end by just letting the bumper music go all the way out. 1 month, that's what it would take. I'll have to try it. Nice to have you here. I am ready to talk now because the music is done. Program is The Doctor Is In, and as has been my privilege for well over 20 years now, to join you, the number is the same, 877-573-7825, 877-57-EQUAL. That is the number to call to get onto the program. For many reasons, whatever those are idiosyncratic to you, whether you have a question about something in your life, circumstances. I'm going to the office today, tomorrow, and Thursday, heading over to see some folks in the office. We don't do therapy here. We don't do diagnosis, but we can educate a little bit, give a few ideas. So circumstance. If you have a generic question, something you just don't quite understand about this whole world of mental health or psychology and mental health as they intertwine with faith matters, or if it's a cultural question, get a lot more of those these days. When I was educated in grad school, we pretty much focused on the individual, all of the intrapsychic conflicts, motives, struggles, confusion to the individual. But the individual very much interacts with the culture and society around them. And now especially because this culture is very, very adamant about the way it decides you should think. And that's why young people are getting shaped in all kinds of directions the way they were raised. I have become so convinced, even more so than 20 years ago, that the power, the incredible shaping power of the culture in its media, in its entertainment, in its education, in its music, to say this is the way you should believe, this is the way you should think, this is the way you should morally conduct yourself. And it's so counter to what has been traditionally the moral glue that holds our culture together anyway. So, all that said, let me give you the number again, 877-573-7825, 877-57-EQUAL. That is the number to call to get onto the program. Tuesday is usually a busy day for calls. It's as though people were saying over the weekend, things percolated and they decided they wanted to call in. So I would be absolutely delighted to hear from you. I want to thank the Bringing America Back to Life conference that I had a chance to visit on Friday, speak in the morning. Thank you so very much. And I wish you all the best of success. Some great speakers there. Also, I want to thank the folks over at Our Lady of Peace School here in Canton, Ohio, because we had a little fundraiser on Saturday night. So thank you for letting me be a part of that, too. Give out the number one more time before I dive into the monologue. 877-573-7825. 877-57 equal. For the kids in the back, speak up. Am I not coming through, guys? Is this not? I'm straight into the mic here. We okay? All right. You are just talking super quiet. No, I'm not. Something's wrong then, because I am talking at full voice. This should not be quiet at all. Check your buttons. Check your knobs, whatever you guys got over there. Imagine that I would take you up to an anthill. You and I would stare at the ants scurrying about with all of their various duties. I would point to one ant, and I'd say, you see that ant over there? That one there? That is the strongest ant on the anthill. And I'd point to another ant. I'd say, see that one over there? That one is the most respected ant on the anthill. Everybody loves that particular ant. That one over there is the brightest, smartest of all the ants. Way smarter than any other ant there. And then that one right there is pretty much celebrated by all the other ants. If they had to pick one ant that was the most popular, most high-profile ant on the hill, it would be that one right there. Now, given that you're kind of surprised that I know so much about those particular ants, would you be impressed by the ants and their various levels of skill or intellect or power or celebrity status? You wouldn't, I know that. Why wouldn't you? And you'd answer, because they're ants. It doesn't matter that that one is 3 times as strong as any of the others. It's an ant. Compared to me, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. You would not be impressed. The gap between you and me and the ants is enormous in terms of physical strength. Oh, proportionately they're stronger than we are, but overall physical strength, we are thousands of times stronger than they are. And intellectually, come on. They don't have any intellect to speak of. We do. We are way, way above those ants. The distance between the ants' skills and ours are enormous. However, compared to the distance between us and God, the gap between us and the ants is really quite small comparatively. As far apart as we are from ants, as far apart we are from God is even larger. Much, but infinitely larger. So what is my point here? God isn't going to look down on us and say, that person over there, that person has 300 million followers on YouTube. That one over there, he's the head of a country. That one over there is the most successful rock group in history. That one over there is recognized by most people as the absolute most talented baseball player in the majors. Do you think that means anything to God at all? The gap between my baseball skills and the best player in the majors is huge. That's right. They can't compare to me. No, the other way. But to God, so what? It's meaningless. Now, it's not that he doesn't love or value them. Don't mishear me. But it is that what we consider important, what we consider worthiness, what we consider worth our attention, our adoration, our focus, to God, it's meaningless. Doesn't mean anything. He's not going to say, yo, you're so-and-so. Oh, come on in. I have always wanted to meet you. I was hoping you'd make it to heaven because I've just been a follower of yours for so long. I think we need to keep that in mind. Some little old woman who's lived her life taking care of her family and her kids and loves the Lord, in the world's eyes, can't compare to the high status that we give to our celebs, our athletes, our politicians, our heroes. But yet in God's eyes, she may be so much closer to him. Yeah, the gap between me and the ants is big. But the gap between me and God is way, way bigger. And I don't think God looks down and values what we value as making someone more likely to be in heaven. Just remember that. Whatever talents, whatever abilities, whatever status, whatever celebrity anybody has, whatever wealth anybody has on this earth is extremely time limited, and it will not at all in any way be used by God to decide whether this person is worthy of heaven. Not at all. That's our scale. That's how we do it. Of course, if I was the ant, I would like to be like the strongest ant there. 877-573-7825. I want to hear from you. Lines are ready.
Welcome to Advanced Dentistry Center family. This is Dr. Metti, and our team strives to treat you like family in a loving and compassionate way as we focus on serving you in a Christ-like manner. We do this by emphasizing prevention and general well-being for a lifetime. Our private practice is small, personal, state-of-the-art, and innovative, with the goal to educate and motivate our patients in improving their oral health. It is through a partnership with you that you will achieve the goals for your smile. Advanced Dentistry is serious about the level of care we provide, with attention to details and an exceptional level of care, skill, and judgment. We are thrilled for the opportunity to serve you.
Dr. Matty and the team invite you to visit them at advanceddentistrycenter.com or call them at 248-594-9592. That's 248-594-9592. AdvancedDentistryCenter.com.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Denha-Garmo. Your kids are grown, and the difficult choice of who will raise them in case of an untimely death has passed. Stop making excuses. Go to mycatholicwill.com. A legal will is short and simple, and thanks to our partnership with mycatholicwill.com, when you use the promo code AVE, A-V-E, your will is absolutely free. No hidden costs whatsoever. Visit mycatholicwill.com.
Feeling worn out, overwhelmed, or just plain tired of feeling tired as a parent? Well, you're not alone. Parenting can drain even the most faithful moms and dads, especially at this time of year.
Join us, Dr. Craig and Lisa Popchak, for a free Ave Maria radio webinar, Reclaiming the Joy of Parenting, Overcoming Burnout, on Wednesday, March 18th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Get practical faith-filled tools to recharge your batteries and rediscover the joy of raising Catholic kids. Register now at AveMariaRadio.net.
Congratulations. We got 2 more EWTN radio partners celebrating anniversaries. JMJ Radio, 3 stations serving Pennsylvania. 18 years. Wow, 18 years. Holy Spirit Radio, they got 2 stations in the greater Philly area. 27 years. You realize with 27 years, you are back in the very beginning of the Catholic radio world? Very beginning. I mean, there weren't a handful of stations 27 years ago. Congratulations to all at Holy Spirit Radio and JMJ Radio from all of us here at EWTN. All right, let me scroll up there and find out what's happening. Dawn didn't stay on the air, but she had this question. Healthiest way to resolve a conflict with a spouse. It surprises me. I do a lot of marriage counseling. That's why I have this twitch. That someone who's been married for 15, 18, 20, 22, 25 years cannot summarize why their spouse thinks the way they do about a conflict. If, for example, the wife feels that hubby does not defend her as much as he should with his mother. And I might ask, hubby, do you know why she thinks that? Well, she's told me. And what has she told you? Well, she says, buh, 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 buh. Is that it? Is there more than that? You think of examples? It is said that people want to be understood even more than they want to be agreed with. Well, in our culture, I'm not so sure that's true anymore, but I think there's a lot of truth to it. When your spouse thinks that you're trying to understand why they look at things the way they do, why they look at a conflict that you're having the way they do. The hardest part is going to keep your mouth shut because you want to defend yourself. Of course you do. Or you think what they're saying is so completely ridiculous that you can't honor it with silence. Oh, honoring it with silence would be like a tacit agreement. But if you spend a little time trying to understand, explore, if you will, their thinking, what is it they're accusing you of, or they're unhappy about, or they think that you are not a good spouse about, and you at least hear it out, assuming they're willing to talk to you about it, it can soften most people. Most people don't remain hardened in their anger, their resistance, their ill will, if they think you're trying to understand them. I can sit in my office, and there will be occasions when someone will describe their situation, filled with all manner of bad decisions, hurts that they caused other people, anger, narrowness in their thinking. If I were to say, that is just ridiculous, do you hear yourself? Do you hear what you're saying? Well, I might have one session with them if they don't storm out somewhere within the session, but they're not coming back. I guarantee you that. What do? I have to try to understand what put them in that position. What's their thinking? What's their circumstances? What's their motives? What's their emotions? What's going on here? Now, that doesn't mean I agree with any of it. And hopefully as we move through therapy, if they stick around, we can find ways to get them out of some of these self-destructive patterns. But in the beginning, I got to listen. I got to ask questions. And I got to try to figure out exactly what they're saying. What's mean? Now, if they say something that is inconsistent with something they said 4 sentences earlier, I am slow to say, well, now, wait a minute. You just said X. Now you're saying Y. Those two don't go together. Now, I may be able to get away with that later in the counseling if they feel we have a decently solid relationship. I respect who they are. But in the very beginning, I can't do that. Immediately, they will get resistant. They'll get defensive. So, what do I have to do? I got to get inside their head. And I guess maybe that's what I would tell Dawn here. Get inside your husband's head to try to find out what is it that he's having such trouble over this situation, this circumstance, this difference in the way you look at things. Okay, let's say he doesn't like the way you discipline. Okay, find out what it is about the way you discipline. If he says you talk too much, you don't come back by saying, well, maybe I do talk too much, but I don't erupt like you do. Now, see, you start doing that, and right away it becomes a he said, she said battle. So if he says you talk too much, tell me how I do that. Do I do it when I'm frustrated? Do I do it in the moment? Tell me. I don't want to do that. So tell me what you're thinking would be a better way for me to do this. That's the hard part too. When you ask someone, well, what do you think would be a better way for me to handle that? Now that puts you in a vulnerable position because they could be thinking, yeah, good, finally, all right, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with you. And then you got to sit there and hear it out. And every breath that you're taking is telling you, this is absurd. This is absolutely absurd. If I did it that way, everything would blow up in our faces. But you can ask. You can say, so if I were to do that, what would happen? What do you think would happen? But Dr. Ray, come on, man. I'm not a therapist. I can't do that. You don't have to do that. It's very easy. Okay, scratch the very. It can be easy with a little practice to figure out what someone's trying to tell you. Now, the Strinks have a word for that. I never used it much. But it's not a bad phrase. It's called active listening. It isn't just a silent stare. It's okay, I want to understand what you're trying to tell me here. That is really, I think, one of the best ways to get to the bottom of a conflict. One other point, I'm going to bang up against a break here. Some things you just have to decide aren't going to be conflicts anymore. You recognize that is the way it's been. It's probably the way it will be. Differences. And do what you can to not continue to bang your head against a cinder block wall trying to change this, especially as it is doing more damage. 877-573 7825, 877-57 equal. That is the number to call to get onto the program. Want to hear from you. If you call now, we'll get you right up. Got some lines open. We do. Normally we don't, but we do now. So 877-57 equal. This is Dr. Ray. This question was asked of me once. Do you think that some things are better left unsaid? Yes, I do. And is usually right after I've just said them. It's like when the words come out and you're thinking, pull them back. Whoa! Like in a dream where you're trying to run and you can't because you're in slow motion and you can't get away from this thing that's chasing you, whether it's a dog or whatever it is. It's kind of that way with words, isn't it? Let me give you the number, 877-573-7825, 877-57 equal. Kids, relationships, grown-ups, adults, 877-57 equal. They didn't used to have a word called teenager. Did you know that? Teenager is a relatively new developmental area. In much of human history, when you hit what would have been, and again, they had very different ways of keeping track of somebody's age, when you hit that 12, 13 mark of being alive, you were pretty much moving toward young adulthood. Wouldn't be unusual for kids, 9, 8, 7, to take massive responsibilities for the family. Very common. Well, we view teenagers as kind of having their own, time frame in development. I've become convinced that what we view as the difficult teenage years is more cultural than developmental. And by that I mean the kids are of the age where they start to see there's stuff out there they'd like to have, or there's opportunities. And in fact, we'll get to you, Judy, right in a second. I just want to finish up this thought. And in fact, the parents stand in the way. And so that quote-unquote developmental resistance, if you will, of teens that is so much considered part of who they are is more cultural. You weren't going to get a farmer 150 years ago bemoaning the fact that his son just turned 14. Okay. So let's go to Judy from West Virginia. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
Judy,
How are you?
Honey, you might have to turn your phone down, because if I said something
yes, you're
stupid...
right. I know better than that. Let's get into another room. Okay, my question is about someone who is married to a narcissist. The male is the narcissist, and they've been married for, I don't know, say 30 years.
Is this, Judy, is this someone you...
It's not me, no.
Okay, all right, good, all right.
No, I don't have... I'm way over that. You have a lot of kids. This is what they see and hear. Now they're grown. Now they're going to go into marriage and relationships, even though you've worked with them. But what do you do to deal with a narcissist? I understand they cannot change.
That's not true. Stop that right there. That is not true. All right, go ahead. I won't argue with you anymore. Just you go on.
No, you're not arguing. I need your information. Yeah. And your wonderful brain.
Oh, I like that. Andrew, would you please flag that for a future bumper? I like that wonderful brain comment. Thank you, Judy.
Yeah. But it does have a reflection on the next generation, too.
My brain does?
Not you.
Oh.
My question.
Oh, sorry. So okay, two things. I'm going to assume this is someone you know, a friend, relative, who generally shares her frustrations with you about this guy.
Correct.
Okay, got that. Now, she's convinced he has earned the diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. Now, she doesn't know what that is. She's probably looked it up on the internet, and she's decided
she's looked up and she's going to have help with this.
Well, okay, has the therapist that she's going to diagnosed her husband without seeing her husband?
I don't know. He when he went, he was wonderful. He has nothing wrong with him. You just continue to live with it?
Couple of things. You said something interesting, and you said what is unfortunately a common thinking, which is narcissists can't change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when they fall so deeply into this personality pattern, there's no way out. Now that's unfortunate, because your friend or your relative or your daughter or whomever it is that is married to this guy, if she becomes convinced he's irreparable, he's unsalvageable, then she'll despair, obviously. Now, if she says, well, I've been married to him 30 years, and he's been like this since year one, so therefore I think it's safe to say he's not going to change. Yes and no. She has to decide what it is about this guy that she thinks he's a narcissist. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is he selfish? He doesn't help her around the house? Is he critical? Is he a guy that treats her poorly, but everybody else likes him? Everybody else thinks he's okay. He's got a great guy at work, may even be admired at church, all of that. Now, if that's the case, Judy, then the narcissist label is something that is unique to their relationship.
Yeah, well, I think it's obvious to everyone that, unforgiving, critical still doesn't, things in the past don't change. You don't forgive. It's very hard for this person.
All of that,
they need love, know.
If all of that has been true for all these years for her, and she's just hurting and frustrated, the one thing she can do for herself is to change herself. And by that I mean...
I think that's... Okay, go ahead.
That he doesn't get to her. Let's say he's critical. Well, if he's been critical for 30 years, I would think that his criticalness would lose its power. That after a while, he can make the most critical remarks he wants, and she sloughs him off because it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's not coming from someone that she has respect for their opinion. Stay there. Stay right there. I will be back because I want to add a few more thoughts on this. 877-573-7825. This is Dr. Ray. Narcissist. Boy, that's one of the words I identified in How to Get Along with Almost Everybody, my most recent book. Talking to Judy from West Virginia. She is on the receiving end of someone in her life who's been married 30 years and is convinced that their marriage is suffering as badly as it is because her spouse is labeled, probably from her or perhaps a therapist whom Judy's friend is going to. And I see this, and we therapists got to be real careful when we do stuff like this, when we kind of label a spouse or a relative or someone else who doesn't come in our office, and we make that label based only upon what the person is telling us. Now, it's one thing to say, oh, it sounds like you have to deal with a lot of self-centeredness, or it sounds like you're not getting a whole lot of compliments or support. That's one thing. But to say, okay, well, it sounds like your husband is a narcissist, you got to be real careful as a therapist. Judy, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I would work with your friend and ask her.
Well, yeah, and I think she's pretty much figured out a lot of what you say. And some of my feeling is for him because he even reads in church, but doesn't get the real meaning of the readings, like forgiveness and such.
That may be just one element of his personality. She's frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's a religious hypocrite. He sits there and he's all holy in church, but yet he comes home and he treats me the way he does. Two things. One, let's help her. You help her to not be affected by this so much. That's one. And here's the tough part, and I hope this doesn't lose her friendship with you. Help her to look at herself. What is she doing? What is she doing here that she could improve on, that might make him respond a little better to her? Take it from a therapist. When I get people coming into my office after somebody has talked to me for 3 sessions and then their spouse comes in and then their spouse gives the perspective of what's going on, well, none of that was brought up by the first...
also, I hate to interject, but when a person comes home and immediately says, you moved this, you touched my stuff, it's
and why doesn't? Okay, I'm gonna have to let you go because I got some other calls. But what you're saying is, he's difficult. Okay, so if you say, what do you do when he does that? Well, what do you do is he said, why'd you move that? Why'd you touch that? That's my stuff. Leave it alone. Just look at him, and just look at him as if, are you done? See, because that's still bothering her. How dare he do that? Well, unfortunately, he did it. I'm not saying it's nice, but she's still letting it get to her after 30 years. And if she's saying, I want peace, then the question becomes, is she going to change the way she views all this so it doesn't get to her as much? Or is she going to continue to say, he needs to change. He needs to get better. He needs to look at himself. He needs to see what he's doing. He's a narcissist. Because as long as she keeps doing that, Judy, the frustration will continue till the day she dies. And I know she wouldn't want to hear this.
Also wonder about him. How do you get a person to understand what real love and respect is?
Well, now you're asking a pretty broad question here, because I don't know the guy. I don't know the guy.
Of course.
But if she could say, well, I'll treat him as best I can, and I won't respond with anger or upset as best I can, we'll see what that does to him. Because I got a feeling, I may be way off on this, but much of the time when I hear a spouse absolutely convinced there is nothing positive about the person they're married to, I am pretty sure this is a spouse who could do some change in herself or himself. No question.
I was just thought it was a good subject.
It is a good subject. It's a very good subject. And it's going to be a look-back call because there's so many good points we could have gone with this. Judy, thank you so much. I hope you can help your friend. Let's go to Pamela. I know we're coming up on a break, Andrew, but I want to go to Pamela first before the break from Farmington. Looks like MS. Is that Massachusetts? No, Massachusetts MA. Where's MS? I don't know, Mississippi? Pamela, where are you from?
Missouri.
Oh, Missouri. So that's, is MS Missouri?
M.O.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I'm going, I don't know any MS. Okay, so you got an older daughter here who's been diagnosed with a pretty serious personality disorder, right?
Yes.
How far back?
It started in her childhood. She was sexually molested by a neighbor, and the law enforcement decided at 3 years old she was not able to take a stand, so we were unable to press charges. But my daughter was in and out of therapy probably for about 6 or 7 years. She would just get to a certain point where the therapist would start to get to the root of the problem, and she would pull back and say she didn't want to go anymore. So we have been dealing with this ongoing personality disorder now she's now 44. And I'm really having a hard time developing a mother-daughter relationship with her because she tries to drag me into her drama. And I try extremely hard not to go there. But I'm finding it difficult to even have a conversation with her. I've just recently started reading a book called Stop Walking on Eggshells, How to Regain Your Life Back When a Loved One is Diagnosed with Borderline Personality Disorder. But in the past couple of weeks, when
Pamela, let's lay aside that diagnosis because I think it's misleading you.
Okay.
Whatever we call your daughter, the one thing that is tough for you is that she tries to pull you into her drama. That's the reality. Yeah. That's the fact here. You need a couple of, well, you don't need, but it would do well for you to have a couple of strategies that would basically disconnect the conversation. You might say something like, well, I don't know what to do about that, and so I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to let you go here because that just confuses me. And then you pull away. Now, here's the other problem you run into. Brace yourself. Because if you don't feed into her drama, she's going to accuse you of not caring. She's going to accuse you of not wanting to help her. And she's going to accuse you of being a bad mother. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I'm usually the person she goes to. She won't talk to her dad about anything because he doesn't feed into it. And he's more of a, I'm going to tell you the way it is kind of guy, and it's not what she wants to hear.
So she doesn't talk to him. So what is it that keeps her coming to you, Pamela? Why does she keep coming to you?
One, I would hope it's because I'm her mother. But the other one is, my whole life I'm a nurturer. I'm a fixer. I'm a nurse. So,
In 44 years, have you been able to fix her?
God, no.
So at some point, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. It may be she's frustrating you terribly. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
She is, because it's actually causing a wedge between my husband and I's marriage.
Oh, you can't let that happen. I think
know.
You might want to make a change in course direction here and basically start to pull yourself out of getting immersed in this and your husband getting frustrated with you because she pulls you in and it affects you and it affects your mood and it affects your wifehood and it affects the relationship and all of that he sees happening, and she's 44 years old and you're still doing this. That's what I think he thinks. But I don't know him. You tell me.
I'm smiling because you're absolutely right.
I know. I knew I was absolutely right. You didn't have to say it, but I was waiting for you to say it. Yes. So here's the thing. Here's the horns of the dilemma, to use a cliche. On one hand, you want to help your daughter. You love her. You're her mom. But you realize that she really doesn't want your help. She wants to complain. She wants to whine. She wants the drama. And so she's forcing you to make a decision. I'm probably going to have to pull back because this is affecting my marriage, and it isn't helping my daughter. If it were helping your daughter, you could say, well, it's affecting my marriage, but my daughter really is being helped by all my advice because she takes it and she lives with it and she does better by it, and I've really helped her. But if that's not happening, then you say, I can't keep sacrificing my relationship with my husband in a dead end, relentlessly trying to shape my daughter into thinking differently if she don't want to. You might even say something like, well, we've talked about this before, and I gave you my opinion before, and it doesn't really sound like you want to do anything about that. So I don't know what else to tell you. Start doing a little more of that. And let your husband hear it too, so he realizes you're finally starting to think a little more along his lines. God bless you, dear. I got to take a break. Thank you for calling. Good luck to you. This is Dr. Ray.
I'm Jack Crisula. Please join us Thursday, March 19th, 6:30 p.m. at St. John's Resort for the Rosary, followed by a speech by Father Dan Dixon entitled Young People and the Church's Hope-Filled Future. Father Dixon, S.J., is the parochial vicar of St. Mary's Student Parish in Ann Arbor, Michigan. No registration is required. For more information, please email jack.crisula, Krasula at trustinus.com. Thank you. God bless.
Fire on the Earth's Peter Herbeck.
Without the light that comes from Christ, we walk in darkness. And darkness is a way of describing this fallen world in which we don't know why we're here even. We can't touch meaning because we ultimately can't see God, and we can't be satisfied because we were made for God. We were made as this entire creation. The whole cosmos was made to the glory of God. It all exists to reveal the glory and the majesty, the beauty, the complexity, the creative love and power of God. And all of it gives praise to him, except for fallen angels and rebellious human hearts. We're made literally to live for the glory of God, to worship him, to give thanks to him. That's what heaven is. It's not just a big prayer meeting, but it is the full celebration of free souls and creatures just overwhelmed by the majesty and beauty of God. And we're sharing in it. We're not just watching it like we do on a movie, that when it's over, it's over. We're in it. We're sharing in the life. And it's total and absolute fulfillment. We can't hardly even imagine what that's like. The best we can do in this world is to have some measure of distraction or something that makes me feel good temporarily, or temporary goals that we kind of have hope in. Those intermediate goals are good goals, but they don't solve the big problem. They don't produce genuine heart that brings peace to the soul and transformation.
Peter Herbeck spreads fire on the earth, weekday mornings at 6:30 and again at 11:45 on Ave Maria Radio.
I've only got about a minute or so left, so I better get to Jennifer. Are you still screening Jennifer, Eric, or is Jennifer ready? Reed, ready to go. Red Day. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
What is this about your friend who ignores men? What's that mean?
Do what?
What is this? What do you mean by your friend? Oh, friend ignores me. I'm sorry. Well, then what kind of a friend is she?
Like the other day, I was trying to tell them that they could have waited to bring my stuff over instead of dumping it on my parents' property, because somebody had to know what was going on, because if nobody knew that they were there, that'd be kind of like trespassing. Well, they won't talk to me, and but then my parents, they get mad because of like little stupid things, like if I need to take a bath, my mom and
I'm telling you what, my dear, here's what's happening. You're breaking up so much, I'm having a hard time figuring it out. Let me recap real quick, because I got about a minute and a half. You did something that a neighbor now is upset with you and they don't want to talk to you? Is that it?
Hello?
You still there, Okay, Jennifer, we're gonna have to let the call go. Jennifer, you call back, we get a better connection. Comment on this. I hate to say That's dumb. Is dumb. That's going to be my new book. Is dumb. You ever notice how people fill the pause silence with So common. I'm catching myself doing it. When you have someone who you think is a friend, and there is an incident of some type that cracks the relationship, fractures it. They're not talking to you. They're not responding to any reaching out on your part. You're left with a couple of conclusions. One, this is not a very solid friendship to begin with. And to think that it was close at one time, it's probably questionable. The person may have been building up frustrations with you that you knew nothing about. And then an incident happened that they just decided, that's it, I'm cutting this relationship off. If somebody's not going to talk to you, what are you going to do? You're going to apologize. And you can apologize even if you think you're not at fault. But if that doesn't change anything, then you have now put the whole matter back in their hands. You've done what's good and right. You said, I'm sorry for whatever it was. But maybe you didn't really lose a friendship. You lost an illusion of a friendship. Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. Andrew Kuchek, producer man, Eric Dumont, called Screamer, and my faith-filled audience. Thank you so very much for your kind company. Walk with God. He won't stop.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.